Invincible
time.
Season 2.
Yes.
The entire series. Now, luckily for us, we have a lot to talk about, but it's only 8 episodes.
Yes.
So it's not a super long series. Even though it was split into 2 different parts, it is 8 episodes. A nice, tight 8 episodes. Invincible Season 1.
Yes.
Truly loved it. Not perfect.
Not perfect.
But great.
It will forever be the show that I find frustrating because it has moments that I've wanted for my superhero stuff that nobody else is doing, and then they do it here. And I'm like, God damn it. I thought that was mine. The guy that's not Batman. I guess the guy who's not Robin, pretending to be not Batman.
Yes.
Who can move through shadows. I was like, God damn it. The fact that towards the end they're trying to talk their way out of a situation and there's a kaiju attack and they have to go and resolve that. I'm like, God damn it. I wanted to do that for so long. Just the idea of just monsters just appearing.
Yeah.
And, you don't know when, you don't know how, it's just going to happen. And now you got to move and now you got to do this. And as a world, we have to kind of try and figure out how we're going to deal with that as a problem. So it was just like anytime that kind of thing comes up in the show, I'm like, damn it. There goes another one. Fuck.
They're stealing all your ideas.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do?
Into that brain here.
What
okay, so the season 1 ended with Omni-Man leaves the planet after it comes out that he's part of this destructive society, just not society, group
culture
of pretty much superheroes.
Yeah.
That go from planet to planet.
They're anti-Kryptonians.
Yes.
So
that's a good way to say it.
You just have what if Kryptonians were all power hungry, crazy, and in love with mustaches?
Yes.
And
they have the belief that, listen, we don't want to kill and destroy everything in the universe, but we want to rule it all because we feel that we are better.
We're the strongest, so we should run everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so all the big fight at the end of season 1, and we start season 2, episode 1. Mark is pretty much dealing with the fallout of everything from season 1, and now
just
he
kind of
is
cruising
like the man now.
Yeah, he's going around still doing superhero stuff, but he doesn't know what the purpose of it is.
Yes.
He's kind of lost in between things. He's trying to figure out what he wants out of this life. And he begins the long and treacherous conversation of the season, which is, what does a superhero need to go to college for? To which I say, Mark, ask for a paycheck.
Yeah.
All your problems would be solved if you just asked for a paycheck. There's a guy here. He can pay you. Just get a paycheck.
Yeah. You get I can't remember, was it the first episode? No, it's okay. So the second episode is the Bang Bang episode. I don't want to say it was kind of a boring episode. It was a setup episode.
Yeah. Well,
so
there's a lot of weird, the pacing on the first half of the season is just a little weird to me because you have that point in episode 2 where they begin it and they're talking about summer vacation and graduating from high school. And by episode 3, summer vacation's over. But the way that they had set it up, it made it sound like this was going to be like a series of events that we were going to follow. No, not at all. No, don't sweat it because summer vacation doesn't actually matter because it's going to be over before you even know it. There's just a few moments like that in general with some of the pacing on the first half of the season. It's not bad, but there's just some moments where I'm like, this could have been paced out a little better.
And I think the thing I had the biggest problem is I really like the Maulers as villains. And they usually are not like a focus. They're just like, okay, we need kind of a throwaway that we can put in to kind of get the story moving. And the whole thing with the Maulers in this first episode is to get Angstrom, who becomes by the end of the series the kind of overarching
villain. Kind of.
This is not exactly.
It's hard to say that he's the overarching villain because he's only in 3 or 4 episodes.
He's more. How about we say this? He's more the personal villain.
Yeah.
For Mark.
There's a
because
vendetta.
It has the thing where he's gonna spoilers kill his mother and his brother.
Well, so the great thing about Angstrom that I love is that his power is that he can move between universes, but he can only move between points in universe.
Yes.
So he can move to another universe, but it's the exact same point on the planet. And I think that's so fun when he has to break out the Maulers and he has to find a universe that has a really deep pit so he can walk into their cells and get them out. I thought that was really fun. I love the whole Angstrom idea of the build of it where we see Mark as a villain in so many universes over the course of the season. And I was like, I really like this.
And
I think
Angstrom's
this is really
origin
clever.
story is Mark and his dad have teamed up and they're pretty much killing everybody.
That is one of the darkest moments for me.
Dude.
Is when he paralyzes Adam Eve So he can't kill her. He doesn't want to kill her because he doesn't have the heart to. But he also doesn't want her to cause any trouble, so he's just going to break her neck in such a specific way that she can't move anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that is so much worse.
Yeah.
It's so much worse.
The alternate reality Mark and Omni-Man are kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, Omni-Man is on his own is fucked up throughout most of this. So, I mean, he's kind of redeemed in this
We get
series.
to kind of a reconciliation with Omni-Man. So going through the season, Mark's story goes, Mark doesn't know what to do. Mark wants to work for Cecil as part of the government agency. That's not
But then
S.H.I.E.L.D.
he regrets
the level
of control Cecil has over him.
He doesn't like how Cecil has him at beck and call.
Yes.
So then he wants to go to college with his girlfriend and his best friend. And then when he gets to college, he's immediately called away to go to another planet to help with something, which it turns out is Omni-Man's new planet.
Yeah.
He found a new planet full of bugs, and he was like, hey, I don't mind fucking some bugs. I'll fuck a bug. I don't mind. No big. I fucked worse.
See, the part that killed me with the bugs, though, and there was a lot of fucking in this, because I was saying, episode 2, Mark loses virginity to his girlfriend, and it's like, you could have played that off kind of funnier, that he's got these superpowers, and maybe when he's aroused, he doesn't know how to control them.
You want a full Hancock where he's just firing through
the ceiling, something fun like that. But then the whole bug fucking thing, it's like, I guess I didn't love that they have these humanoid bug creatures, but they keep them with, like, the lifespan of normal bugs.
It was weird. It was challenging. I didn't mind it. The thing that I got stuck on was, why does Mark's brother just look like a normal baby, but it's purple?
But it's purple.
That doesn't look like a bug at
don't
all.
They kind of mention that? Like, I didn't realize when you bang this, it just turns purple.
It was just one of those, like, so it's all bug people. I kind of like the idea that they age quickly. The moment when he's talking to the bug that picks him up, Nualzot, and he's like, so what's going on with these meteors? I don't see any meteors. And Nualzot's like, what meteors?
What meteors?
Like, what do you mean, what meteors? You told me I had to come here because there were meteors and I was going to destroy your planet. Oh, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, no.
They were fun. Like, they were interesting characters.
And that dynamic where the mom is like, you have to take my son because by the time he's even old enough to talk, there will have been like several generations.
Is the planet.
Yeah. So I did like that. I found it interesting. The whole of it is just kind of a hard thing to deal with at times, just because it's one of those things like Harry Potter where you're just shouting at Mark, like, just don't do that. Don't get pulled. No, don't do that. No, you just got to go, man. If you want to have a life, you got to have a life, but you have to be the first person to stick up for it. You can't just be being pulled off into adventures all the time, which is like pretty much the entire thing. Is I think it's episode 5 or 6 is the episode that we jokingly called Mark in Space last week.
Oh,
Mark in Space. But it's like, I do like this a lot. As far as superhero stuff goes, I really enjoy it because it's a different flavor of superhero stuff. It does still fall into that category that I find frustrating, like The Boys does, where it just doesn't make any attempt to be original with certain things. And it's just like, no, this is just the Justice League. This is just, in this case, Martian Manhunter, but like not Martian Manhunter, but he's basically Martian Manhunter. No, the actual Martian.
Oh, yeah,
his whole thing is shape changing. I like that his name is the Shapesmith. I think that's a great name. He's just the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah. Except I like how they make him kind of dopey.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. So like I do like all of that team. I think the Guardians team is really fun to watch, and kind of the dynamic between them. You have a lot of drama with Monster Girl and not Rex, Rudy.
Yes.
Who's Robot. And so you have a lot of them going back and forth over, like, you have the usual relationship issues of Robot wants to fix her and she doesn't want to be fixed, and the complications of human interactions. And so I do like that a lot.
Why can't I think of the name of the Immortal?
Yeah.
That's the name.
Yeah.
I was like, well, the Immortal superhero. Oh, it's the fucking Immortal.
Yeah.
Him and the Duplicate, that he starts hooking up with her, which pisses off Rex, and it's like that I kind of liked.
Yeah, that was good.
But I loved throughout the series how the Immortal, who has been with thousands of different women, gets so attached to her, and that when she does end up dying, well, he thinks she ends up dying, he's just done.
That was great, because like that was again, you have certain setups that you're like, okay, I see what you're doing. So when they all have to go to space again to solve a problem because a Martian thing from last season is going to come to Earth and cause a lot of problems, you have Rex is put in charge of the remaining team, by which I mean he calls shotgun on being in charge of the remaining team, and he openly says, "What's gonna happen? There's gonna be 2 world-ending events at the exact same time," and so of course something's gonna happen. I like that you have the Lizard League, who are like, I've seen this group of villains in Marvel and DC so many times. It's just the hapless, dumb villains who can't get out of their own way. I'm thinking of like the Firefly, Kite Man. Kite Man's team and Batman, where you have various forms. Kite Man has been in a few different forms of Batman, and it's always stupid. Or you have what are they called? They're not the Lizard League, but they are like the Snake Syndicate or something like that.
It's something like that.
But like in Marvel, and I just love that you have these stupid villains that actually end up being good, to the point where when you're watching that fight scene, you're like, they're not going to lose, are they?
They might fucking lose. And some of the voice acting, like Walter Goggins as Cecil. And then, once again, Rex, Jason Mazzuccas. I love him as Rex. I love
the turn that he has as Rex, where he has that moment where... Because I do love Adam Eve's storyline. Because that was one of the...
With her parents?
That was one of those ones, especially if you've seen the movie that goes in between the 2 seasons, that kind of explores Adam Eve's backstory.
Which is really good.
It's very good.
It's very good.
You have her going through the whole, like, there's more I can do for this world, and she tries to do it.
Was it Detroit that she tried to save that building? Chicago.
Because Chicago was where Omni-Man... Or rather, I don't want to say that Omni-Man struck. I want to say it was where Mark didn't leave.
Yes.
Because that's really what happened. Every time I watch that last episode of season 1, I'm like, Mark, go literally anywhere.
Yeah, you're doing a Man of Steel right now.
Literally anywhere. Just don't be here.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it to you, dude. All these people dying, it's on you because you just need to leave the area. So, like, you just gotta go, dude.
Yeah, you gotta fucking
go. So anyway, but Adam Eve is doing her whole outreach thing, and she builds a playground that collapses.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, her dad has lost his job and is
her dad's
spiteful.
a prick.
Oh, yeah.
Like, was...
Well, that was the thing.
I don't know if I've ever had a character make me madder than her father in this. They really write him as the ultimate piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't stand that fucking guy.
Yeah. No. He has the whole, in the prequel movie, he has the whole, if you're so gifted, why are you so dumb?
Yeah.
Kind of thing that he does. And so when
then you find out they're not even her real parents. Yeah. They're adoptive parents. And you're like,
and that they don't even know that because they're too dumb to figure it out yet.
Yep.
It is such a heartbreaking moment when everything goes bad for Adam Eve. And she's like, I guess I got to move back in with my parents because they were right. And I'm like, don't.
Go to your little tree hut.
Literally anything else besides move in with your parents. This is the worst thing you could do, is to move back in with your hyper-abusive parents. I didn't
understand why she didn't go back to her treehouse.
Well, she felt like she wasn't being held accountable, and that her parents were there to actually hold her accountable.
Yeah.
And so,
I still didn't
because they were right about everything that they said about her,
Yeah.
even though they weren't, and they never were, and they never would be.
No,
and
they were just
that's what
pieces
Rex
of shit.
comes and tells her, is like, don't be here.
Yeah.
This is some bullshit. And so you screwed up like 2 times. Oh no. Look at my record and know that doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. And so he has that great speech, and then that's kind of his turn as a character, because he is
then he gets shot in the head.
He's so obnoxious up until that point. Yeah. And then he literally says, I know this is a little out of character for me, but I have an idea. And from then on, Rex is like a great guy.
Oh, he's awesome.
You're like, high five, Rex. Let's fucking go, man. The whole thing where he's sitting in the hospital reading magazines because he likes to have the magazine in his hands and look through things. And they're all home and garden magazines. And I was so happy with Rex's development as a character. It was like
the turn of Steve in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
You're like, he's kind of a douche. And then you're like, okay,
I love this guy.
Yeah,
I love
amazing.
this guy. And hearing Jason Matsuakis play a good guy with that prick voice that he uses is so good. It's so
and
funny.
The way he acted after getting shot in the head, he's like, it was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love.
It's so good.
Yeah,
he's one of the best. I love seeing him in things. He has such an iconic voice.
Oh yeah.
I always want to like Big Mouth, but Big Mouth always goes too far for me. There's just moments in each season where I'm like, guys, I can't follow you to a middle school orgy. No. I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. I just can't do it.
And that's the sad thing is he's in a couple things where you're like, I kind of want to go back to like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, his character in that,
him in The Good Place.
The Good Place. Yeah. Just he really is great as that.
He's really funny.
Kind of weirdo.
He's really good.
Even what was it? Parks and Recreation. He played that owner of the company who was just a dick.
Yeah,
and liked to hunt people and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That was fucking awesome.
Everything is shades of Rafi.
Yes, it pretty much is.
Yeah,
it pretty much is.
Rafi is just. I feel like Rafi is just Jason Matsuzeakis fully cranked without any knob. Like they pulled the knob off. And it's just like all the way to 11.
Now I gotta go.
You can do whatever you want.
I want to watch that whole series again.
And then it's just about tuning back from there, depending on the role. That's why when I heard he was in Percy Jackson, I was like, "Oh, that'll be interesting."
And then they kind of screwed him up in that. So and we got to talk about was it the end of last season, beginning of the season, where Alan gets just absolutely killed?
That
by
was
the
episode 3
of this season.
No, 4. Episode 4.
Yes. Alan gets absolutely.
He gets fucking railroaded.
Yeah.
Like he gets run over.
Fucking like after that, I was like, oh well, there's Alan as a character.
I was like, oh, Alan's dead.
He's
that
dead.
Sucks. I really liked Alan, especially after this little soliloquy about Alan and his police officer girlfriend and them going out to the diner and.
As soon as you saw that, though, it was very much like, oh, it's my first day on the job, and then they fucking die. You're like, oh, God damn it.
And then when Optimus Prime goes into his room and turns off everything, you're like, oh, bye, Alan. Yeah. I guess you're gone.
You're fucking dead.
But he's not. It turns out
he becomes Super Alan.
Anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Oh, much
stronger. And the closer to killing you it gets, the stronger you get. I love when he just accidentally rips his way out of the machine. He's just like, oh, my bad. Oh, I'm so sorry. That looks expensive.
I'm so happy they didn't change his personality. Because that made that scene so much funnier.
Yeah. Well, that and when he goes back to Earth to recruit Mark and the Immortal comes to fight him and he's like, they're doing the whole telepathy thing. And Mark is like, he's my friend. You shouldn't be fighting him. And Alan's like, well, he can't hear you. It's a one way.
It's a one way thing. Yes. I fucking love that.
Oh, and Mark's like, did you attack him? Oh, what an excellent question.
Yeah.
Who attacked who first?
And it's like, I know he's a producer on it, but Seth Rogen's voice is perfect.
It's so good. Like, I know Seth Rogen, we joke a lot. He jokes a lot about how much voice work he does. Yeah. This might be the best voice work he's ever done.
I agree.
It's really, really good.
It's so good.
And it's just so perfect for the character. And it doesn't have like that stupid moment where it's just like, we just have to put in the Seth Rogen laugh. It's just like, it's an authentic
I don't know if they
ever
have the laugh.
This is what I'm saying, is that it's an authentic performance where it's not Seth Rogen being Seth Rogen as Alan.
Yeah.
It's Seth Rogen loaning his voice to Alan,
yeah.
who is clearly a character that he has been compelled by for a long time. If you go back and watch Paul, where he voices Paul, at one point, Paul is wearing an Invincible t-shirt.
Holy shit, I forgot that.
And so,
I haven't seen that movie in a very long time.
And so, like, this has clearly been a passion project for him for a long time. I know this and Preacher were, like, the two things that he really was, like, really big into. Preacher didn't catch, but so far, Invincible has been really, really good. I do have
to throw in there, they are making a sequel to Sausage Party.
I saw that. Is it a sequel or is it a series? I think it might be a series.
I don't know. Whatever it is... I still can't get over the orgy ending.
Or anything that ends in an orgy, whether it's Big Mouth or Sausage Party, it's just like after a while, you're just like, God. The thing that I will never get over is hearing Selma Hayek say some of the rancid things they have her saying. I can't get over it every time I hear it. I'm like,
even though I've always loved her, so hearing her say that made it feel a little good to me. All right, so it kind of ends the first half of the first season with the Viltrumites showing up to the planet, Mark and Omni-Man getting in a fight with them and getting the absolute shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the Viltrumites show up, abduct Omni-Man, kill pretty much everyone on the planet, and then just leave Mark.
They say to Mark, the Highlander says to Mark, he looks at Mark, Clancy Brown, and says, your job is your dad's old job. So you're going to go home and prepare it because we are still fucking coming, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And Mark's like, okay. And so second half, oh my God, second half of the season opens up and Mark has been there for 2 months.
Yeah.
And he finally goes home and everybody's like, dude, where were you for 2 months? Go home
alone though.
No, he brings his brother, his little brother.
Let's say his stepmom only had like another year to live or something. Like,
maybe even less.
Not even less. Yeah, I think it was just a couple months.
Yeah.
I think they have like a 6-month lifespan.
Something like that. They have a very short lifespan.
Fucking nuts.
And so it's just like, you got to take this baby. Okay, I'll take this baby. Apparently he didn't name it the entire time home. And I think if I remember correctly from the first half of the season, it was like a 2-week journey to get to this planet or something like that. So I don't know what he called it the entire way home. I do like the whole thing with Debbie having to reconcile all of this.
That was
interesting. That's a high order for anybody to take.
I am going to become the surrogate mother to my ex-husband, serial killer's alien insect love child.
Yeah.
Like, just saying that. Fuck.
Wow, that's a lot.
But I love that, it, like you're saying, it shows her maternal instincts. It's like she knows damn well that if
if Mark
Cecil got a hold of the child,
Cecil
he was going to bastardize
it.
Yeah. And she does not want that
to
happen to anyone.
He would turn it into a weapon,
exactly.
100%. I love those moments where Debbie is just standing up to Cecil and being like, I already raised one.
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh, so this one's part bug. Oh, okay. So we're going to have to figure out how he doesn't have the right enzymes to digest some of our food. Okay. So he has some food allergies. I can figure this out. And then you have the nanny come in. I think she's played by Callista Flockhart.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is an interesting character to get a named actor for.
Before we move on, going back to Debbie, the first half of this season was showing her dealing with people knowing that Omni-Man was her husband and like pretty much being ostracized.
Her life falling
apart. Because didn't she? What was it? Like
there was a support group that she tried to join
superhero, like spouses of
superheroes, and they didn't realize that her husband was Omni-Man.
And then when the guy that he was kind of like hitting on her found out,
dude,
he's like, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah. Don't come back.
Yeah.
We need a safe space and you will make it not safe.
That was heavy.
That's so heavy. Like, that's the thing about this show is that as much as there's a lot of blood and guts and I call shotgun on being the leader of the team, you have moments like Adam Eve going back to her abusive parents and Debbie falling into alcoholism while she tries to build her life back together. And just the moment where she looks at the bottle of wine that her coworker gifts her for being so good at selling houses. And nobody's home, and you don't know when the last time she hung out with anybody socially was, and she just looks at the wine for a long time. And then she goes and gets the glasses. Yeah. And it's just like, you have been.
But then going on to this, the thing that saves her is...
this kid.
The kid, which is Oliver, is what she ends up naming him. And you're like, okay, so her ex-husband is the thing that ruined her life. But then he indirectly is what helps save her life and bring her back by bringing this child who ends up loving her like a mother.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, I don't know how to feel about this.
This is a lot,
This is an emotional roller coaster, dude.
This goes back
for 8 episodes. Holy fuck!
One of the things that I kind of watched in passing while I worked on stuff this week was Castlevania, and I was struck again by some of those conversations that are just such heavy conversations.
Such a great fucking. I got to go back and rewatch it.
This show has a lot of the same kind of mojo of just like some real heavy conversations about what you would think of as really stupid topics, but really well done, really well done, really so good, well written, paced out. I love the fight with the Martian squidlings or whatever they are.
Yeah,
I thought that was really well done. I thought that fight was just really exciting to watch.
It was weird because that whole storyline kind of became like a MacGuffin type thing.
It was almost a red herring.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so it doesn't really play on the main story,
especially when you have B team just getting fucking decimated. So everybody comes back on A team and they're like, wow, that got hairy, but we made it out. And they come home and it's like, oh, B team is fucked.
The only good thing about it is because B team was getting fucked up prior to it, when that whole storyline kicked in, Adam Eve had to resume her role.
She couldn't, and
she
really
bad for saved herself. Their asses in that whole fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, I love that moment where you just have various forms of throw up a barrier. You know, how many things have we seen where it's just like, okay, throw up a barrier and we're just going to try and deal with this. And we have like 3 or 4 different attempts at like, we're going to just throw up a barrier and we're just going to deal with it. And they all eventually fall apart.
Yep.
And I love the Shapesmith being like trying to redeem himself and he's being bitten. I also found out the Shapesmith played by Ben Schwartz, which is fucking great.
I didn't know that.
So Sonic the Hedgehog is getting bitten by these little things and he's like, that tickles. Oh, it doesn't tickle. Ow, ow, ow.
So great. I love that voice acting.
And so like I love all of the pace of that. That was probably my favorite episode. It's not even a full episode because it's the end of episode 5 and the beginning of episode 6. And I just really love that whole situation of them going to space and coming home and then
the Sequids.
Yeah, the Sequids.
So
I did like that. We do have some stuff that gets a little distracted. We do spend a lot of time at college, which I wouldn't mind, but I'm just literally sitting there like, so your problem is you don't have time and you're failing out of college because you don't have time because you're a superhero.
Yeah.
And it takes Mark so long to get to the point of like, but why am I going to college? But why are you going to college, Mark? And because you could be paid to be a superhero.
I don't necessarily love the Amber storyline with being the girlfriend thing.
I like it because
the only thing I liked was the interaction once you realize that Adam Eve is in love with Mark, and then Amber goes to talk to her about Mark and the relationship, and you're like, that's kind of fucking awkward, knowing what we know.
Yeah. But like I like it because it explores an element of superhero relationships that we don't see a lot. Usually you have the relationship where it's either you have like a Sue Storm, Reed Richards, where they're both kind of leaders in their own right. The Incredibles, where you have like the mom and dad running a family. You have Peter and his various girlfriends who know to varying degrees depending on what comic you're reading. You have, rarely though more common now, is the girlfriend who knows but isn't a part of it. But I like this where Amber knows, can't be a part of it, is trying to help Mark and feels extremely guilty about any time she spends with Mark because she knows that he could be out doing other things, and she is at her heart a humanist who looks at all of the pain of the world and says, my boyfriend could do stuff, so I can't be mad that he's not here, but man, I would really like to hang out with him.
And I do admit I did like the change from her being super understanding at first to then starting to say, I need a boyfriend.
The moment he dumped her at Comic-Con, I was like, you might be the most evil person in the world. You didn't dump her, like, you're still dating, but like, you went to Comic-Con, you dragged her to Comic-Con, she's clearly not as excited about this as you are, and then you're like, oh, work called, I gotta go, can you hold my place in line? You did not just leave your girlfriend to hold your place in line at Comic-Con while I don't even care that you're saving the world. No, you can't be serious.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that dynamic, it might have been a little overplayed, but I really like that scene where Amber and Mark are sitting in their dorm room, effectively breaking up, being like, are we going to stay together? And the only thing they can say to each other is, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like, then I guess not. I guess that's the answer that we're going to have. And again, just really well written conversations, and the voice acting is extremely good from everybody involved.
But then you go from the emotional thing of them breaking up to him being called by Engstrom saying, guess who I have with me?
Yeah.
And he's got his mother and Oliver, and he's holding them hostage.
I did like that episode. There were a few moments there where I got a little lost in the sauce because they make they make a point to note that time works differently in some dimensions. So it's hard to say how long Mark is gone in between each jump. And so I'm watching it with my buddy, and we get towards the end, and we're like, so has he been gone for like months? Like, how long has he been gone in between each of these jumps? Sometimes it seems like a few minutes. Sometimes it seems like weeks. Yeah. And like the Mad Max world that he ends up in, like, how long was he there?
That was a cool thing, going from world to world.
And I love the Agent Spider.
Yes.
I think Arachnoman is still more interesting, but Agent Spider and Dr. Squid or whatever it was.
Something like that, yeah.
I thought that was so funny. And that's the kind of thing that can come off really cloying at times, but they did an extremely good job of it. And I just like the characterization that they make. It doesn't hurt that it's Josh Keaton. That helps. But like, I just like that whole scene in general.
And fucked up scene where Angstrom beats the shit out of Debbie and breaks her arm, but then Mark's reaction when he sees it when he comes back from one of the jumps, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill,
that was my favorite.
Oh my God.
The best moment is when Mark finally gets his hands on him.
Yeah.
And he burrows Angstrom into the ground, and Angstrom's like, what you gonna do? And he starts monologuing and beating him across dimensions. And Mark's like, fine. Fucking fine. You wanna fucking go? Fine. You can take it? Great. Glad to hear. And he goes all out. And it turns out Angstrom can't take it.
No, he can't take it. He was all talk and again.
All talk, no game.
Oh my God.
And Mark's beating himself up, and me and my buddy are just sitting there like, my buddy and me had the exact same reaction on a few different things. One was when the Martians go back and they ask the Earthlings to surrender the Shapesmith for trial and judgment.
Yeah.
Me and him were like, yeah, he stays here. You do not bring him back to Earth. And they're like, what's going to happen to him? He's going to stand trial. And what's going to happen at that? He's probably going to be found guilty. And what's going to happen after that? We're going to kill him. Oh, I guess we have to. No, he deserves to face judgment for what he did.
He caused all that shit.
He caused all this shit.
Yep.
He has to sit here and deal with the repercussions of his actions. Mm-hmm. And so we both agreed on that. But then we also agreed that Mark, you can't beat yourself up for killing this guy.
No.
He egged you on. He kept on saying that he could take it. He kept on asking
your mother,
you.
Threatened to kill your brother.
He was practically begging you to kill him.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the plan, was to leave him stranded, Mark stranded in this other universe where nobody else exists.
Oh my God.
And then you get the Deus Ex Machina of all Deus Ex Machinas, which was almost too much for me. This was the one moment of the season where I was like, oh, really? That's how this is going to resolve?
I think that was out of a comic, though.
I think it was
right from the page, because I saw some screenshots of one of the comics, and I think that was actually right from...
And it makes sense. It makes sense within the world of a comic book. And basically what happens is Mark is there for like 12 hours, and then Adam Eve and Rex and a bunch of people from the distant future come back to the past to give him a gateway home. And they're like, listen, world got really, really, really bad when you weren't there, so we spent the last 40 years figuring out a way to get you back, and so now you're gonna go back. And Adam Eve is like, also,
I fucking love you.
You need to know. and so, but it was just so interesting to be like, oh, so there's gonna be this whole thing where Mark is no. Well, he's stranded for like 12 hours. Yeah. Like, I feel like Tom Hanks in Castaway had a hard time. That's true. So, but it was just so funny because it was supposed to be so dramatic, and then the bunch of Guardians show up from the future, and they're like, "Hey, here's the door home." Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess that's resolved.
We gotta move this along.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this season ended. I don't know if I've ever had an ending to a season where I will literally kill somebody to see season 3 by you having Alan and Omni-Man in a prison together, deciding to team up to take on the Viltrumites. I was like, I want to see this! And then it ended. I was like, no, fuckers! Yeah. I was so, I was ready to break the walls down.
I know.
To see those two team up against them.
I know. I do wish that there was some time spent less on other things.
Yes, more on that.
Because, I don't mind the Donald storyline, but
it was okay.
It was okay. It was interesting. The fact that the most interesting thing about it is that the voice actor for Donald also plays Mickey Mouse in everything right now.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
And the Donald storyline was kind of like...
Well, the Donald storyline turned into the Rick storyline, which turned into the William storyline.
But it was very... What's that director who's big into body...
Oh, Cronenberg.
It was very Cronenberg, because when you really think about what was done to this dude, you're like... This is really fucked up.
Yeah. So it was fine.
It was okay.
It went on a little long. After watching it a second time, I was like, this is fine. But given some of the emotional beats that we have beyond that are more succinct and fulfilling, this felt kind of like a distraction. Yeah. This kind of felt like, and also in the rest of the world, things are also happening to the just pure humies out there who don't have superpowers or superpowered relations. And it's like, okay, no, that's cool. I can't say that I really care, but it's cool. It's cool that it's here.
But to know that the monster that did all these experiments
working
on
for the
him
government.
is working for
He's
Cecil
getting a
and the
paycheck.
government.
He's getting a paycheck, or at least home and board.
Yeah.
Like he has something.
Like, that was really fucked up. Like, God damn it, this dude
Mark, just ask for a fucking salary.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to tell you. You can have it as much as you want. Just ask for a fucking salary.
Yeah.
Even if that salary just comes in the form of you don't have to deal with bills. So, like, when he's talking about, like, I could get another job after school. No! You dumbass! Ask the government to pay you money to be a superhero.
Yeah. You're not like Spider-Man, who no one knows who you are and it's pure anonymity.
Oh, Lord knows you fly around without your mask on as much as fucking Tom
Well,
Holland.
that's true, too.
I love the moment when the Viltrumite woman comes and breaks up the date, and Amber's like, how'd she find us? And I'm like, I don't know. Could have been the flying around for 3 hours without any kind of anonymity through cities, and I don't know. Might have been that. Could have been that. Probably in a database, but could have been that.
I do love how his name is Invincible, but goddamn, he gets his ass kicked so goddamn.
All the time.
Because that chick kicks the shit out of him.
Hey, listen, Invincible just means that you don't break. It doesn't mean that you don't bend.
Oh, he bends pretty fucking hard, dude.
He bends like the Buffalo Bills defense.
But
a few years
holy
now.
crap, that was a cool fight scene, but she beat the shit out of him.
Well, I just love when he's losing to the kaiju, and she's like, "All right, I'm done. I'm done with this shit. You want a proof of concept? Here's a proof of concept for you."
Yeah,
and
it's there's a lot I love about the show, and I hope. This is kind of in the realm of The Legend of Vox Machina, where it's like, okay, it's a streaming service, animated show, so you never truly know how it does ratings-wise.
Yeah.
They tell you viewership things. I don't fucking know how half that thing means. I hope it's successful enough that they're going to continue these series, because it's series like this, because once again, this is what I wanted from The Boys before The Boys went way too fucking far. And it's like, this is what I want to watch now. I know The Boys season 4 is coming out in like a week. I'm gonna watch it just because I'm an idiot. And even though I didn't love how that last season started, I loved how it ended. There's gonna do something that's gonna make me regret watching it. I don't regret watching this. Like, this is fantastic. This is the animation. Like, this and Vox Machina, I gotta give Amazon a lot of credit, because it's like, man, you're really doing a great job with these more adult-themed animated shows. They're perfect.
A-Train was another thing that I saw, and I was like, I had a speedster named A-Train.
Oh, yeah.
And you gave him the most boring costume. My guy had, like, flashing on his armor, so it looked like a subway car. Or you can just have whatever this is. This sucks. You might as well start putting, like, brand logos everywhere for
Bezos
how good
is in
it
your
is.
brain, buddy. He's in your brain. He's reading
this
every one of your
sucks.
thoughts.
So, but I agree. I do like this a lot. I'm glad that I did finally start watching Invincible, because for a long time there I didn't want to watch it for that specific reason. I didn't want to have a moment where I see the detective demon and I'm like, oh, that's so close to an idea I had. Oh, that sucks. I'll weather those because the show is still very good. I give it an A.
Oh, I definitely give it an A. And it's like, the thing I love about it is the animation's solid. Not the greatest animation I've ever seen. It's solid.
They have that joke about how the animation is done. They take you inside the sausage factory when he goes to the con and he's talking to the creator of the other comic that he likes, and they go over like the dynamics of trying to do animated TV shows and how it takes so long.
What was the name? What's the name of it? It's the dog, right?
Seance Dog.
Seance Dog, that's right. But this is some of the best voice acting.
Oh, I love the voice acting.
It's so good.
It's so good, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Whether it's a known voice like a Stephen Yeun or
J.K. Simmons is Omni-Man.
Sandra Oh, or lesser known actors like Jillian Jacobs as Adam Eve is really good.
Oh, she's fantastic.
She's really, really good. And then you have Kari Payton as Black Samson, among many others. He is he's in almost every DC thing you've ever watched. He's great. He's always great. Just the entire cast is so good and so believable. You have some classics. You have Grey Griffin, who you don't know, but if you hear her voice. And then you have Andrew Rannells. It's like some of these more minor characters. So like it really runs the gamut. You have Ross McCord, who does the non-Jason Matsuzakis voice for Rudy. And he was also Charles Xavier. And
oh, yeah?
I think he may have also been Magneto.
God, I forgot. Michael Dorn, a.k.a. Worf, is Thrak the Battle Beast.
Yes.
Slash is voiced by Jamon Hewson. And Titan is voiced by Mahershala Ali. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't know how they have the money to pay some of these folks.
They have a really good voice cast and a very good voice director who does an excellent job. Angstrom Levy was Sterling K. Brown. But then you also have Mark Hamill as the guy that makes costumes.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's just like, I really like...
How did I not know that the principal of Reginald Vell Johnson High School is
Reginald
Vell Johnson?
Yeah.
That's fucking
That
incredible.
was a moment where I was like, I don't know if this is a meta thing or if this is a joke, but was when he becomes the dean of the college he's at after being the principal of the high school he was
University.
at. I was like, so is this like a joke or is this Cecil putting him here? Or does he work for Cecil?
That could be.
Because I'm confused about what's happening.
Yeah, it's top to bottom. It's great. And I didn't even realize also Alana, the Green Ghost, I'm going to mispronounce her name, Sonequa Martin Green, was the lead in Discovery. She was from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
the lead in Star Trek Discovery. She's great, man.
Yeah.
It's loaded.
You have Rob Delaney as New Alzat, who was the friendly guy in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Pete. John Hamm is in here somewhere. Just fucking so many people.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
Like, just...
I love it. So that was Invincible Season 2. Can't wait for Season 3. Really much looking forward to it. And I think that's it for the day, man.
Yeah,
I think that's 140 in the books.
Yeah.
So, folks, once again, this is episode 140 of NerdPod Generations. If you like what you hear, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find us at youtube.com. If you do go looking for our show, which I hope you will, make sure you subscribe to either the podcast or YouTube or both. You can find us at nerdpodgen, nerdpodgen.com. And once again, there are multiple links to everything about us. You get a little rundown of who we are, what we do. Al, who did our music?
Our music is done by Brendan Williams and James Connally, and our art is done by Kortney Howell.
I love that artwork.
I'm Alfred Judson.
And I'm Steve Taylor.
And until next week, friends and enemies, we'll be out here nerding it up.
Can't wait.
Like some douchebags.
Yeah, we're douchebags!